suspected gunman in the shooting death of 10-year-old Justin Wallace in Queens on Saturday night in police custody this morning. There's also been an arrest in a deadly confrontation in Kensington, which led to the death of a retired police officer. Joining me now, NYPD Commissioner Dermot Shea, to talk about these two major developments in these cases. Good morning to you, Commissioner. Thank you for being here this morning.
Good morning, Dan.
So, Commissioner, we want to begin with the arrest in the case of young Justin Wallace, 10 years old. My goodness. Jovan Young turned himself in on what would have been Justin's 11th birthday. What can you tell us about the suspect and the charges now that he's facing?
Well, I think all of Queens breathed a sigh of relief when the news got out yesterday that we had the perpetrator in custody. I have to start by, just our sincere condolences again to the family.
Yeah.
We spoke to the family, detectives did, I did, since that tragic incident, and we reassured them we do everything possible within our power to bring the perpetrator to justice. We have done that. The sad thing is it's not going to, bring their beautiful son back.
Right.
But he will face now justice, and we'll move forward from there. Just a tragic incident, Dan.
Commissioner, was he in fact the gunman? Are you looking for anybody else in connection with this specific case?
This is the person that we have in custody is being charged with the death of Justin, and he is in fact the gunman.
Are there others that you're looking for still?
Not at this time.
And Commissioner, lastly on this case, do you know the motive behind this shooting? Reports it was over a parking space, something as silly as that.
Everything that we have now is that we have a gathering on that day, a friendly barbecue, and there is a dispute over the shared driveway. This is not the first time that there has been words over that driveway, and that's what is the incident, if you will, that started the dispute. That later in the day, this individual comes and shoots into the stairway house, hitting the two victims.
Unbelievable. Oh, now 10-year-old dead because of that. Commissioner, let's talk about also the arrest in Monday's deadly shooting of a retired officer, Thomas Mannarino from Brooklyn. What can you tell us about the suspect in this case?
Well, I mean, this is one, again, that you shake your head. I mean, a respected police officer, retired police officer. You have just a nonsensical dispute on the street between this individual that is now facing charges. It culminates into our retired officer, as well as the initial elderly gentleman, and I believe his son. Having an altercation on the street, and we know that during that altercation, one shot is fired, striking both the perpetrator and our retired police officer, and tragically he lost his life.
Commissioner, we've been talking about the numbers almost every time you're here, and I want to talk about it again. Nearly 700 people have been hurt or killed by gun violence in the city so far this year. Shooting incidents up nearly 70%, numbers you are all too familiar with. We, though, are heading into the summer months when crime typically rises with warmer weather. What are you anticipating for the summer ahead?
Well, there's a lot of work being done, Dan. First and foremost, the public should know that.
Yes.
In terms of the police department, reallocating resources that we have, putting them in the right spots, clearly. A lot of good investigations that are going on. A lot of outreach as well. All of that is full speed ahead. As I've said many times, Dan, I think, we're going to need some help here in terms of, we know what the problems are.
Yeah.
Dan, you can go back and play my old interviews for the last year and a half. And I essentially forecast everything that was happening now. That's the good news, though, too. I'll turn it into a positive, because with small, fixes, and then get the courts really up and running, we can really turn this ship around, I believe.
I'm just wondering.
But we are going to need that help.
I'm just wondering, since you are forecasting, do you anticipate it getting worse in the summer months, that these numbers will continue to go up?
Well, Dan, let me be perfectly clear. We could be down in shootings this year, and I'm not going to be happy at all.
Okay.
I mean, we are constantly trying to get to zero. The increase that we had last year is unacceptable. So we could have an improvement on that, and I am going to be anything but happy. We have to do a lot better in New York City here. We have the greatest city in the world. We have the greatest police department in the world. We can get back to where we were, and that's exactly what we intend to do.
Yep.
But we're going to need everyone pulling in the same direction.
Commissioner,
we need some laws. We need some help with the courts getting up and running.
Yep.
And we have to pull our end of the bargain as well.
Crime and gun violence, the top issue of the mayoral race as well. Two of the candidates that I spoke to this week, Andrew Yang and Sean Donovan, talked about closing the gun pipeline. I want you to take a listen to what they actually had to say here.
We're not making guns here in New York City. We're not selling them at our stores. They're coming in from rogue dealers out of state. We also need to stop the flow into the city as well. And so to build partnerships with our national law enforcement agencies, with other mayors and governors in the region.
We would start a new anti-violence and community safety unit of plainclothes officers that would work with community leaders, go into neighborhoods and get the guns out.
So, Commissioner, you heard them right there. Isn't that what's already happening?
Yes, basically that is. I mean, I think it's well-intentioned. I think everyone wants, I think it's very important, and it's a good thing that all the candidates have to address this. And New Yorkers want to know what you are going to do about gun violence, about quality of life, about recidivism. What's your stance on laws that exist, and do you think they should be changed? I think that's a great thing, because everything, in my opinion, from education, from services, to quality of life is really built on that public safety. What I would say to those two clips, though, you know, a lot of experience here in the city. We know how to fight crime. You need to concentrate on the people that are here already. I have some bad news for people. The guns are here already. They've never went away. I agree with them in that you need to make it harder for people to buy guns when there clearly is straw purchases and things of that nature. But focus needs to be placed on individuals here in New York City that want to carry these illegal guns, and what happens when they're caught.
Understood.
That's where the gap is right now, in my humble opinion. And again, Dan, you know it as well as I do. We have about 5,000 open gun cases right now, over half of them indicted. We need the courts. We need people really asking the right questions. How many trials have taken place? How many pleas have taken place that result in somebody going to jail? What's the incarceration rate month over the last 5 years? Where how many people are going and resulting in getting put into state prison? And if you ask those right questions, you're going to see some glaring data, and you're going to get closer to the heart of the problem.
Commissioner, I know we're tight on time today. You have another appearance that you have to make. I want to get to this last question here, and that is NYPD officers coming under fire again for aggressive policing tactics over the weekend. I know you saw the video enforcing a new curfew in Washington Square Park because of what's happening inside the park during the overnight hours. Your thoughts on how that situation was handled on Saturday night? What could have been done differently?
Well, things can always be done differently, Dan. I would point to that the end result was 23 arrests, eight officers injured, you know, bottles, rocks, and cans being thrown at officers. Why did we get to that point? And you have to go back a little to what is the current state of Washington Square. I think you saw the articles in the paper last week. You saw the people outraged that live in that community. I'll tell you that of the 23 people arrested and all were released due to current laws, not one lives in that community. Interesting. Many of them, in fact, probably most of them, have been arrested multiple times over the last year, multiple. And why we were in that park is because the community is outraged over the current conditions. And the Parks Department has tried to enforce and close the park, which is their job, by the way, on multiple occasions, and they've come under fire and had bottles thrown at them. So they came to other city agencies, including the police department, and said, we need your help. I'll tell you, Dan, from firsthand knowledge, the last thing a police officer wants to do in the middle of a heat wave is wear a helmet. It is the single most uncomfortable piece of equipment that we issue. But those helmets are on because they're under attack from repeat criminals throwing bottles, throwing cans, and throwing other objects. I think you've also seen, Dan, the hateful, racist speech that was going on there. This is not what we want our parks to be contained. So I think we have more work to do here, but I think a good night in jail would cure a lot of these ills.
Understood. Commissioner, thank you very much for making your another appearance right here. Until next time, we're simply out of
Always
time.
a pleasure,
Thank you very much.
God bless.